Hey, sorry to interrupt, but there are only a few seats left at the RV Entrepreneur Workshop on September 12th during the big RV show in Hershey, Pennsylvania. If you work from the road or have any dreams to do so, ditch that someday thinking and register now for this fun day of connection, education, and collaboration with other RV entrepreneurs. Then continue celebration that night at the RV Life Hershey After Party. Both events are made possible by our amazing partners, Jayco, Cool RV, Open Road Resorts, Lithionics Battery, Air Skirts, RV TV, Open Roads Fuel Card, Clear 2O, Work Camper News, and more. See the full agenda and get your tickets now at therventrepreneur.com before they're all gone. Okay, here you go.
Yeah, with your business, with your homeschool, with your traveling, everything is very fluid. And so you almost have to train yourself to have that flexible mindset right from the get-go.
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Rose Willard. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Welcome back to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Rose Willard, and today I am thrilled to be joined by Vanessa Russell of the Adventure Detour. Vanessa, along with her husband Scott and their daughter, has been living the full-time RV life since 2015. What started as a passion for adventure quickly turned into a thriving career as they put themselves out there on their blog. Through their dedication and love for sharing their journey, they began to attract work opportunities that allowed them to become full-time freelance RV travel writers for top magazines and websites, as well as becoming content creators and social media influencers, working with RV manufacturers, dealerships, campgrounds, and outdoor brands. In this episode, we explore the many facets of their lifestyle, from how they transitioned into content creation to the importance of family adventures on the road. Vanessa shares insights on navigating campsite availability, the balancing act of homeschooling and working from the road, and why flexibility is key to making it all work. We'll also dive into the reality of working on the road, including the challenges of budgeting and internet access, and how they've embraced these obstacles as part of their adventure. And speaking of internet, let me ask you this. Are you still struggling with weak campground Wi-Fi? King Wi-Fi antennas are the solution to boost your internet experience. These powerful antennas pick up and amplify Wi-Fi signals from up to a mile away, ensuring you stay connected wherever you park. With easy setup, secure VPN networks, and support for multiple devices, you'll enjoy fast, reliable internet on the go. Say goodbye to slow connections and hello to seamless browsing and streaming. Choose between the King Wi-Fi Max Pro, King Swift, and King Falcon models. See why King has been a connectivity leader for over 2 decades. For more information, visit kingconnect.com. And our podcast listeners can save 15% with code RVE2024 at checkout. Vanessa, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Rose. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. You and your family have been RVing full-time for 9 years now,
gosh.
living, working, and homeschooling your daughter from the road.
Yes.
And I cannot wait to get into all that. I love that. But first, please take us back before you lived in an RV. Who were you and where were you in life kind of before all of this?
Right. That's a great question. It's been a while, so it's kind of like we're completely different people now that we've been on the road so long. So we were your normal suburban family. We lived outside of Kansas City in the suburbs. We had just built like our dream home, which I know is a little bit similar to your story as well. We had all of the wonderful things going on. My husband worked full time. I was already staying home with our daughter. We had a small little like MLM business that we were doing at the time, but it was pretty much normal, everyday suburban life. And so this might be surprising. We had never camped before, ever. Not in a tent, not in an RV, not anything. Never been in an RV before, never been in a campground, none of it. So it's really wild that I had the hair that I'm like, and I know you mentioned this too in your story when I was looking at it, I just felt like I needed something more. and I didn't know what the more was, but it was just like this nagging feeling at me, like I needed more family time together, more connectedness. I don't know. And so when I learned that families were traveling full time, I thought, hey, I think this could be our missing piece. And I just had to do it at that point. Kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, no, not crazy, but maybe to some. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this was in 2014. Now, in
Okay.
2014, it was really crazy, right? Because
Okay.
today,
Yes.
most people have met other families that do this, or, young single working couples, or even just singles that do this that are working age. But back then, no, there were hardly any families on the road, and there weren't all these resources there was no TikTok, obviously, but there weren't any resources like you have on social media to learn about other people doing this. This was just like a couple of little Facebook group things. So it was weird back then to do this, and that made it a little bit more crazy.
Right. I bet. Yeah. And I bet some of your family and friends were like, well, what are you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Like,
have you lost your mind? Are you guys financially okay? Are you having a midlife crisis early? What are you doing?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, what kind of jobs did you and your husband have that you were able? Well, okay.
Yeah.
Let me go back. You did say you had a small MLM type business.
Mm-hmm.
So then, did your husband quit his job? And then
he did.
Oh my gosh.
We sold the whole farm literally on that tiny MLM. I just had the feeling like if we launched on this, well, first of all, when I crunched the numbers, I realized that all of that work from his full-time job was just paying for that house for the most part. The house and the two cars, the regular American dream. We were just working to own more stuff. And once if we could sell it all and travel debt-free, now that was the key for our finances at the time, was to just buy a fifth wheel that we could buy outright with the proceeds from our house, to downsize from 2 vehicles to the 1 truck to tow it with. If we could go low on our belongings, we could go debt-free and make it, at least for a while, just on our little MLM. And I had the feeling that once we started traveling, we would kind of find our lane, if you will, would find what we were supposed to be doing. And that is exactly what happened. So then we pivoted into what we're doing today, which is way better anyway.
Oh my gosh. And I totally relate.
Yeah, that's a faith thing for sure. It's really scary.
It is. It sounds very similar because we sold it all and then eventually sold our business of 20 years, our sticks and bricks brick and mortar business. And we went out, we didn't have like a full income. We had enough saved and we just hit the road, and we thought, we probably, can make something.
Right. Exactly. And it's really scary because you just don't know. Yeah. You just don't know.
Leap of faith.
Yes.
So, all right. Yeah. You went into this, you did this with what you could afford.
Right.
And you're already kind of dabbling as an entrepreneur doing that MLM stuff. And then you went full force into working for yourselves now. So what does being an entrepreneur mean to you?
For me, it's the freedom of being able to, and not every job on the road has that sort of freedom, and that's okay too. But for me, it's the freedom of being in control of our own finances and, possibilities with finances, not having a ceiling over us, but our own business on our own schedule, on our own terms. And to me, that freedom's even worth having a lot less, and downsizing our life for.
Yes.
So I love that aspect of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that's very important. That's great.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, okay, what do you guys do now that you're creating that income on the road?
Yeah. So right after we left, I quickly realized that I wanted to start blogging, and I had no idea how to do so. But I realized that I mainly began it so that our friends and family could check in with us and see what we're doing, and that we weren't nuts, because we didn't have a lot of support when we started. They thought that things were not good, and that's why we made this choice. They didn't see the incredible adventures that I envisioned, right? And so I wanted twofold. I wanted to start writing so that my young daughter would remember all these adventures, because she had just turned 6 when we sold our house and left. So I wanted her to have documented things and pictures and all of that to remember. But I also wanted our family members to see, yes, this is a great environment to raise a kid. This is a great thing to do. And so I started writing and blogging about our adventures. And then that turned into an RV dealership, actually, a big one that happened to see our blog and say, hey, would you guys be interested in, writing some stories for our website based on how you write for yours? And I thought, okay, this is kind of cool. So we started writing for this national RV dealership for their blog for quite a while, actually, monthly. And then that turned in some additional writing opportunities started to come. And so today we have switched to online and blogging for other blogs, including ours, but some magazines and print writing opportunities have come on board. So now we're writers for magazines and websites in the RV and outdoor space. And we also do some industry writing and some technical writing too, which is pretty cool. But that was one piece of our business. And then at the time, I started doing some social media stuff to promote the writing, which isn't so easy to promote a blog off of social media, by the way. A little bit tricky.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want to leave social media. But that was the thought anyway, right? I'm going to start this social media gig to try to drive people to the blog and the writing. Well, that took off into its own animal and grew, even though it didn't necessarily drive traffic to the website. And so then we started working with brands and being content creators. I love that word, content creator, because it's completely vague and means nonsense.
Right.
But what does content creator really mean? It really means, well, for us, that we're working with brands, RV dealerships, RV manufacturers, outdoor brands, you name it, to create things for them. And our specialty is creating social media ads. And so we do a lot of ads for brands to use that don't even necessarily go on our accounts, which is kind of cool. And they run social media ads with it. So that kind of took off as its own little business piece. And then we also do some television stuff with RVing Today television. And we record RV show episodes for them now. So we're kind of a little bit of all things: social media, television, writing, you name it.
That is really cool. Yeah. I love how you started the blog, to capture memories and all that, just kind of like we did, with our YouTube channel and our blog. And then I love how one thing just kind of led to another. You put yourself out there,
right?
If you don't do that, these opportunities are not there, and you're out there, you're in person, you're creating stuff.
That's so right, Rose. Yeah, you got to put yourself out there. It's like a huge step of faith. The whole thing is a huge step of faith. Selling all of your stuff is scary as all get out.
Yeah. Right. Well, I truly believe being an entrepreneur, that is a big part. It's you have to be willing to take risks, like big risks. That is a true entrepreneur.
Yes.
You have to do that, or else you won't get to your dream.
Right. I heard someone say, and I wish I knew who said it now. I would say who said it, but fail fast. Get the no's fast and then get to the yes. And I thought about that. I'm like, that makes so much sense.
It does. Yeah. And it really pulls you too. You're like, okay,
it does.
I can fail. I can do this. Just be real.
And that's exactly how it happens. And it starts to kind of snowball. So just putting yourself out there, getting the nose or falling on your face is okay, because you pick yourself up and then it works the next thing.
That's how you learn too. You learn from each kind of failure, right?
Right.
You build.
Exactly. So yeah, it's been a really exciting adventure. That part was not planned. And so I'm really thankful for that. And it keeps kind of building upon itself. But yeah, with leaving without knowing that was there was tricky.
Right. Yeah. Did you rely on like some savings initially in the MLM, or just because your life was so simple and you were in your budget, you were able to kind of live off the MLM income for a little bit? Or
mainly the MLM. Yeah, I had a little bit of savings built up. I basically knew that if we sold our house and took the proceeds from it, bought all the equipment outright, so we had no payments of any kind, we could live pretty cheaply. And so that's kind of where we started. And we didn't have our dream RV by any means, but it worked perfectly to start out with. And so I did have a small savings, but not enough to float it on at all. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And then how long did it take, if you don't mind me asking, how long did it realistically take to create more of a livable income, like for your family on the road for long term?
So in our current setup with what we're our current business, we worked at it for a couple years before it was making a significant amount of money. If writing and social media stuff, if that's your calling or you think that's your jam, that's a long game.
Yes,
Just
it
going to
is.
be real. You know this because you're
I do.
Yeah. It's a long game. You're developing an audience and a voice, and you're getting better at it with practice, and it's kind of a long game. Yeah, it's worth it.
It does. It does. It is so worth it, but you're right. You have to create your voice and the trust within that, your community.
Right.
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Totally.
Now, your handle name and your website is The Adventure Detour. Tell us more about that name.
I wanted to, when I was thinking of a name, I was like, we took our life detour toward adventure, right? We took our normal everyday life and we took a detour to an adventure life. And so that's why I think our life is the adventure detour. The unplanned,
perfect.
Yeah, the complete jumping into the unknown. And just that feeling of, for us, it was that feeling that once I had the idea that this could be possible, I knew that if we didn't do it, it would be one of those things that nagged me with the what ifs forever.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. The what ifs.
The what ifs. What if we would have followed that crazy idea? What if that would have worked out? What if we saw these national parks and we learned to hike and do all this stuff? What if we would have gone for it? I didn't want to live like that. And when everyone always says this, but it's so true. Like when you're on your deathbed at the end of your life, you're not saying, man, I wish I had a bigger house and more cars and more designer clothes. No, it's like, I wish I had more time with my family and traveling and experiences. And so it's like, now is the time.
Yes. Oh, you nailed it.
Yes,
Excellent.
Yes, now is the time. And when our babies are still with us, which is an interesting thought since families haven't always done this, but that's really important if you want to share these adventures with your kids, now's the time. Yeah.
Now's the time. Yeah, start them young. I wish we had started sooner.
Right? Isn't that one of the biggest mistakes that people say?
Right. Wish I had done it sooner. But they were still at a good ages.
Yeah.
Good ages to start. They were 7 and 10.
Oh, that's
so
perfect.
Still good.
Oh, that's
perfect.
Still
good.
Yeah. Now, I will say about that on a parental state that starting with teenagers is hard. It's harder with teenagers.
So now your daughter, she is how old?
High school. She's starting high school next week. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we started with a kindergartner and now we have a high school.
Oh, wow.
And she does not love the RV thing anymore at all. So that's the real raw reality. Little kids.
They love everything, right? Yeah.
They're like, I want to go. I want to be a junior ranger. I want all the badges and all the everything, right? They're all about it. And then once they hit the preteen, teen years, it's kind of like, man, I want to be like everyone else and have my friends and like chill out and I want to be normal, Mom. I'm like, you're going to regret these words someday.
It's true. It's true. We hit the two-year mark and our boys are like, I think also because we traveled a lot and kind of fast and they were like, not another national park. Like they all look the same. We're out west for a while. And they were like, didn't we just do something like this? I'm like, no, I don't want to hear that. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, Rose, because that is the biggest mistake. Not just that full-time RVers that work make, but full-time RVers, period. I don't care what your work or homeschool situation is traveling too fast the first year or two, Yeah.
Yep.
It's hard to find that time for life, the balance of daily living with the travel adventures. And even more so if you're homeschooling or working or both, you really, man, we all do it. I did it too. That first year was like, how many states can we mark off the map and how many national parks can we get to? And then all of a sudden, like what you said, it feels like you're kind of going through the motions and you start to get burnt out really fast.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a tough one
It's
there.
tough.
And I don't know. And I've heard it too. It's like, slow down, but you just can't help yourself. And it takes that time to kind of go through the steps and it just happens.
It does happen. You have to feel it for yourself and then kind of start finding the pace. Well, part of that though is that if you think you have a year plan or a 2-year plan, you're very limited you want to see, and that sounds like a lot of time too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have a whole
It
year,
does.
but then when you get out there,
But
you
no,
realize, no, we're
no,
not even scratching the
not.
surface.
Right.
9 years is not even scratching the surface. You're like, I
Right.
can't see all the things. And so you
Mm-mm.
feel that pressure, I think, to try to cram in
Yeah.
as much as
Yeah.
possible. But reality is you're not enjoying
Mm.
it as much.
Right. And you may not remember everything.
Right.
So what are some hacks? Do you have any hacks for finding a good travel pace?
Yeah, I think the best hack is to just adjust as you go, because so many people set like these long, year-long or 6-month-long plans, right? And they're like, okay, we're going to be
Mm-hmm.
here this week and this week and this week. And they don't adjust when they start to feel tired. And I think that's where things kind of, the wheels start to fall off, literally, right? Especially with kids. So it's like,
Right.
take the time to say, okay, I feel like I'm getting a little tired right now. We need some doctor's appointments. We need to do some RV maintenance. We need some life
Mm-hmm.
stuff to happen. Stop at that minute and go ahead and slow things down and say, okay, let's stay at this place a little bit longer, maybe the next place a little bit longer, and stop and adjust, because your travel plans are not set in stone. It's okay to
Right.
just be
It's good.
flexible. Yeah.
It's good to check in with yourself and have these
Yes.
mini like check-ins and be like, okay, how are we doing?
Yes.
Even to your kids, right?
Right.
Have that conversation.
Yeah, because
And
especially with families, like the kids still need, even more so than, I mean, adults too need that time, but the kids need time to just play and just be
Mhm.
and do crafts and rest. And, you know, if you're just go
Right.
all the time, they're not
Yeah.
getting out of it what you want them to anyway. So
Yeah, no.
yeah, it's
You're
a
right.
painful reality when you have to take a step back and be like, okay, this is a little crazy. So I think we started out the first few months traveling like, man, every 2-3 days we were in a new city, and that didn't make it very long.
Right.
And then it was like, okay, a week. And then it was more like 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a good pace for us right now. Sometimes 3 weeks. I start to get antsy after 3 weeks.
I am right there with
Yes.
you. Yeah.
So you'll know, right? Like once you start doing this, you'll start to
Yes.
get a feeling for sure.
Yes. And like we boondocked a lot out west. That was our thing. We
Yeah.
absolutely love that.
Nice.
But yeah, we'd stay for like a week in one spot. You know, our tanks were pretty good, so we could handle a week.
Nice. Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit more, but yeah, even then, okay, all right, it's time to move
Time
on.
to go. Yeah. Yeah. Boondocking
Time
is
to
a
go.
different ballgame, because that kind of sets your
Oh,
time
yeah.
limit.
Yeah, and yes, your tanks, you can only go as far as, you know, what you have on board. But the good thing with boondocking is that you don't have a reservation, like you must be here then, you must check out then. So if something
Right.
happens or whatever, I mean, there are 14-day limits on land, like BLM land and
Right.
stuff. But so you have a little more flexibility that way. But I know it's not for everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah. It's nice though. It's nice that we
Yeah.
have that option too. So,
Right.
Yeah.
This summer, ensure your RV is a haven of cool and comfort. Cool RV's novel approach to staying cool significantly enhances your air conditioner's effectiveness without breaking the bank. For only $84.95 with shipping included, step into a cooler RV. Visit coolrv.com to get started. That's cool with a K, RV.com. Podcast listeners can save 5% with code RVLife.
That's right. Especially that leads me to my next question about campgrounds and RV parks. They're so full. I mean, especially in the summer.
Oh my gosh.
And for entrepreneurs working from the road, we need to know that we'll have a solid place to camp so we can get our work done, right? And have that connectivity, whatnot. So have you experienced parks being full?
Yes. So I always try to plan as far ahead as I can in advance, knowing that there's going to be some changes, but that at least you have something on the books. So, and it's really hard because right now you can even plan a year in advance, and still some really hot locations find a tough time getting a spot. So I always say try to plan as far in advance as you can, but then, you know, don't be disappointed when you have to, you know, make some changes, because life happens, weather happens. We have to detour our plans a lot because of weather. And I bet you did too out west. You have wildfire situations and stuff just hits the fan fast.
It does.
does.
You have to be flexible.
Yeah.
You have to have plan A, B, C, D, E, whatever.
Right.
But you have to plan.
That's
You
exactly
just
right.
do.
And so we actually have a free guide on our website. So if you go to our
Awesome.
website, it's called theadventuredetour.com. And I created a free guide there where I address this issue. It's got all of our hacks and tips and tricks for booking even sold out campgrounds. So
Ooh.
definitely check that out, because to me, that's the biggest pain point of any RVer today is campsite availability,
it really is.
whether you're full-time or not. And really sometimes it's important to have those hacks for when your plans change, see, because even if you
That's right.
even if you have a whole year lined up, somebody gets sick and you need to hang out one spot longer, as a full-time RVer, all of your reservations fall like dominoes after that.
That's right. I know that's always our thing was like, okay, well, if we make this reservation, especially when we were going across country,
Right.
it's like, how do we know something's not going to happen? It was like a nightmare to us. So we only did like a little bit at a time and just hope for the best. And we knew by the time we got out west, we could just boondock and be fine.
That's so nice too. Yeah, that's always a nice fallback plan. We have never boondocked, Rose. Can you believe this?
Oh, no.
We don't have a generator. And it's funny because I paid to have the RV that we're in now when we bought it wired for the generator, but we're so overweight.
Oh, no.
That I didn't want to add the weight of the generator because I know we're already way maxed out. So
yeah, good call.
It was either the washing machine or the generator. So you know which one I picked.
Yeah, you picked the washer. I know that's the one thing. The one thing we missed, we didn't have a washer and dryer. We just got real good at finding some decent laundromats.
And that's not bad either.
It's not bad.
No, it's not
bad.
Really
but, everyone has their own style of camping, and that's just, so there's no right or wrong way.
Yeah.
But I love that.
Yeah,
I love RVing.
That's funny. I know, right?
Any way you want.
It's flexible. Yeah, exactly.
So another important subject for those with kids living and working full-time on the road is homeschooling.
Yes.
And we both have kids. We know about that. And we absolutely love the more laid back approach with road schooling. It's been such a great way for my boys to learn, a hands-on way, but balancing it between work and stuff can be a little tricky. So how do you balance homeschooling while working?
This is so true. So one thing I will say about homeschooling and working on the road both, and I might pop your party balloons here a little bit for some of our listeners. If you've ever homeschooled in a house or worked from home in a house, just let your expectations go now. Okay? We'll just start there, right? That's just the raw and real truth. It is nothing like trying to do it on the road. So just let your expectations from the house go, because homeschooling on the road and working on the road both requires just a lot of flexibility. So like in our house, I had a dedicated homeschool room with bookshelves full of curriculum and 2 desks and all this jazz, and everything was real scheduled and organized. And wow. Okay. 180 into RV life, right? Where I have hardly any materials and we literally do school whenever there's a free moment in our day. No schedule. So to me, the biggest tip and it doesn't matter what your homeschool style is either, whether you're unschool or complete schedule curriculum, right? It doesn't really matter the style. The key is just to be super flexible. So what we learned very quick and early on was, instead of scheduling our travels around our school, we decided to prioritize the travel, because this is the here and now for us that may never be back in any of these places again, right? So we prioritized the travel and did our homeschool around it. So what that looked like for us was we could be doing school in the car a whole lot on the way to the next destination, or even on the way to your sightseeing for the day. We schooled in the car all the time. It could be doing some school at night because we wanted to go ahead and, get up and do our adventuring during the day. Or sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's school in the morning because it's not the greatest time to go into a national park. It was too busy. We go in the afternoon instead. So basically we worked in around when it was best to go do the sightseeing and on the weekends. So like we would go always sightsee on the weekdays, and then we would catch up on school and work on the weekends, which is amazing. Now, not everybody can do that, obviously, because your work schedule may be a little bit more, regimented.
Intense.
Yeah. And that's another really good point. With both homeschool and working, one of the hugest pitfalls, right, that everyone has is when we and I'm going to almost sound like a mom. I'm momming you saying this. Don't compare your journey to others, right?
Yes, thank
Yes.
you.
Comparison
Yes.
is the ultimate thief of joy. So if you're over here, you know, having to do an online 9 to 5 situation or a more regimented schedule, you can't compare yourself to Jim Bob over here who owns his own business and is having margaritas on the beach on a Tuesday afternoon. It's just not, it's not going to bring you joy. Same thing with your kids,
Nope.
right? If you've got, you know, if you don't have children and you have children, you're going to be very different in your scheduling. So, you know, don't compare yourself to some couple that doesn't have kids and they're traveling full time and they're going a lot more than you. You've got to find your own schedule that works best for your family, and just, it's human nature, but you have to kill the comparison. You'll find your own joy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
It is super important, the flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just how we did it too. And we still do it even in a house.
Yay! It's so good,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's the
I
whole
just love
reason
it.
that it's the benefit.
The whole reason.
Yeah.
You know, not everyone thinks this way, but like we started homeschooling because we didn't want it to look like normal schooling. We wanted to do things differently.
Yes.
So road schooling was perfect for that.
Exactly.
And we just continue.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And road schooling's a gift in itself, because a lot of people don't realize this till you start. But the amount of things that you learn, like experientially, just from going and doing and visiting the places.
That's right.
Even for the adults, like my mind is blown.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I learned so much more geography and geology, all
History.
that I've been learning with them,
Yes.
history.
Yes.
That's right. And they learn better as well
Mhm.
because they have an interest. They are seeing things firsthand.
Right.
They are talking with the rangers or whatnot, or learning from random people we met on the road that were teaching them things
It's
that
amazing.
I could never do back in where we
It's
were.
such a gift. So what you and I read mainly in books growing up, these kids are seeing in real life. Like, we're going to the Battle of Gettysburg and we're on the battlefield and we're seeing the remnants and learning about it, like in real life and hands-on. And it's so different than just reading it from a book. And since you can incorporate so many real life experiences through travel, you don't have to rely quite as much, if you don't want to, on scheduled curriculum. Right. And that kind of opens up a little bit of freedom too.
It does. It really does. Oh, I could go on this forever.
So
but
good, isn't
here
it?
we are. We need to reel this back in for those entrepreneurs. But so let's see, Instagram and social media, they tend to make this working from the road very glamorous, right? You know, I park my van here out and look at this view and I'm just typing away, la, la, la. But it's not always true, right? Like, what do you think? What do you think?
Whew. Oh, Rose. Well, I know you know the answer to this. It's a lot of work.
Yes. It is.
RVing in general is a lot of work. And most people get all their life business done before their trips when they're doing weekend and part-time trips. But you can't do that when you're full-time RVing. So you're trying to take care of all the stuff as you're on the road and working. But social media paints a very different picture than reality, because you're not showing all the repairs that you're making, not showing your budget being completely, different in reality than what it is on paper. There's a lot to that. But in reality, working on the road doesn't usually look like sitting on your laptop at a beach. It can. Some days it does.
It can.
Yeah.
But it's hard to read the screen out on the beach.
Right. Exactly. I know. You can't do it on my computer.
Can't do it. Nope.
The reality is you're struggling to find good internet sometimes. You're struggling to schedule the adventure time with the work time and the life time. There's a lot of other factors that happen in there. But no, it's not. It's worth it and it's amazing, but it's not easy. How about that?
No, it's not. You're right. And I love that you share all that. You're very transparent on your blog and your social media. So
thank you.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
For sure.
And so maybe how do you balance then that work and that, going sightseeing or whatever you want to do that's not work related? How are you balancing that?
I think for us right now, and this is probably a good message for anyone, is you have business hustle season and you have a travel hustle season. It's usually not going to be the same season, okay? You can't, like, say summertime is your go, 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 right? Because summer is short, the season's short, especially if you're heading up north somewhere, right? You have a very limited amount of time until it gets cold again and you have the optimum weather, right? So summer may be your travel hustle where you're like, I really want to get up north and see and do the things, and I'm really focused. I'm working, of course, but I'm really focused more on the travel. And then maybe winter is your, okay, I'm hanging out in the southern states every winter where most of the RVers, snowbirds are flocking. And then maybe that's more of your slow down life season, which is what we do. So Florida's always our winter hub for the most part, and that's where we have developed doctors that we have relationship with. That's where we get our appointments done for that. That's where we really catch up on work and life stuff. And so we have more fast travel and then slow down and hustle. So we're in a hustle season right now, even though it's summertime. We're still in Florida. We're sweating it out this year. So this is a year of hustle for us, but that's just where we are in our business. But have that flexibility with yourself to recognize which season you need to be in right now, and don't put that on yourself to try to do it all at once, because you'll be like an insane person losing your mind,
That's all great advice. Yeah. Seasons.
We all have seasons. Sure. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So what other challenges do you have working on the road? I think you mentioned quite a bit, but
let me see here. Part of it is also budgeting as a full-time RVer, which I think is a huge thing. So, and that's not necessarily directly related to working, but I think it's just an everyone that RVs full-time kind of thing. You'll quickly find out that what it really costs compared to what you think it's going to cost is very different because plans have to change a lot. Things break down a lot. So you really have to plan monthly, and that can mess up your schedule too, but monthly that you're going to have a repair budget, I think, because that can derail your travel plans and also your budget plans. So almost have a little bit of a game plan. For when your cheap plans don't work out. Like, say you have this great boondocking site and you plan to stay for free this week or 2 weeks, and there's all this rain and it turns into a swampy mess and you could get stuck. Yeah. So now boondocking is not an option in your location. You have to pay for a campground. Well, that's not what was in your budget,
That's smart.
Which gets to be a little crazy. So I would say budgeting is a huge challenge, and internet is still a huge challenge. And
even with Starlink.
With it. So Starlink is awesome. We have it. I'm on it right now. But if this podcast was a few days ago, we had a hurricane where we are in Florida, it wouldn't have been possible with Starlink. Yep. So we've learned that to reliably work online and know that you've got to have multiple sources of internet still. You can have Starlink for when you have a clear sky. But if you're in a season of a ton of storms or in the trees, which is our biggest hang up, we love to stay in state parks. Well, in the state park, a lot of times it's so wooded that the Starlink won't get a clear signal. You got to have a clear north sky to use the Starlink. Right. So then we have to rely on different hotspots and other things. So it's like you kind of need, if you are really reliant on either for school or for work, the internet, you've got to have multiple sources. You do. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is
you can have Starlink, but that is not your end all. You need those backups. Yep. You need the hotspots. Right. You need your phone.
Right. Yep. So budget for that. Yeah, Speaking of budget.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. Nothing is cheap. You think RV life is cheaper. And, if you stay within your budget and you get what you can afford and you are good with your money, yes, things can be cheaper than if you were in your huge dream home like you and I were.
Yes.
And you're just paying for the stuff and the landscaping and all that.
True.
So just be smart, but have your plans, whether you're camping, whether you're budgeting, whether you're living.
We get that question all the time. People ask us all the time, okay, well, is RV living really cheaper than other forms of living, like living in a traditional house? Oh. And not always. Yeah, it can be.
Not always.
So like for your example, if you boondocked a lot you had all paid
Yes.
for stuff that had no loans, and you have a
Yep.
high likelihood of it being cheaper, especially if you come from an
Yep.
expensive market to a housing
Right.
market. But
And it was for
right.
us for a
So
while.
then in your
Yeah.
situation, for sure. For ours,
Mhm.
not so much, because we came from the Midwest, so the housing market's not crazy there. Well, it's more crazy now, right? But everything's more crazy
Yeah.
now. But it
True.
wasn't back then. And so we basically swapped our house payment for increased gas costs, campground costs, and activity costs. So we
Yeah.
actually end up spending about the same because we like
Yeah.
to go do things. Now, if you're
Mhm.
someone that's like, I really love free or cheap outdoor activities, which we do a lot of that too. And you're like, I'm not somebody that wants to do ticketed events and theme parks. And, that entertainment budget can really save a lot. The same thing with food. Some people are like, I want to eat all the local cuisine and try all the local
Right.
restaurants and do all that. Just like when you take a vacation, right? Your vacation could be
Mhm.
exorbitantly expensive, or it could be really cheap. Let's hang
Right.
out at the hotel pool every day, right? It just
Mhm.
depends.
But
Mhm.
RVing is not a vacation,
It
so
is
take
not.
note.
Yes, exactly. You find that one out real fast,
Oh.
don't you, Rose?
Oh, yes, you do. Like, what? I gotta dump tanks again?
Yes. Like, what? Something else is
What?
broken?
Oh, no.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, but it's so worth it. So fun. The memories, the stories. Oh my gosh, it beats sitting at home or in
Priceless.
your
Priceless.
house.
The
Yeah,
memories.
priceless.
Yes. The memories
The
that you have
memories.
are just, that makes it totally worth it. It makes the hard
It
times. And
does.
that's a really good point. So I always like to say this because your challenges are just as
Right.
much as your adventure as the fun part. So see all
Yeah.
of it as, okay, the RV broke down. We had this happen. The truck broke down. We got stuck in New Hampshire for like weeks on end trying to get a part for our truck in the middle of nowhere. And we missed all of Vermont and northern New York. This was our first time around the country. We ended up going
Oh,
back.
bummer.
But I was crushed
Yeah.
at the minute because I thought this was my only chance to ever get up there. I'm like, I want to go to
Right.
Vermont, see all these things, and I'm dying,
Oh.
and we're stuck in New Hampshire. But of course, what we do, we got to see and do so many more things in New Hampshire than we would have ever had time for originally, and it was an amazing experience. So
Oh, blessing in disguise.
yes, and it
I love
always
that.
is if you make it that way. So take the
That's right.
challenges with the joys and package it all into one crazy adventure, because those breakdown
Right.
stories and insane wildfires and people getting sick and all the things will become funny campfire stories.
That's right. You will have plenty.
Yes.
Yes, I love
You
it.
will. So it's worth it. It's all worth it. It's all part of it.
It's all worth it. All worth
Yes.
it. Yeah. So I was going to ask you, and it sounds like it. You've had these moments where you're like, I'm done. There's so much stuff breaking and moving. I mean, have you had these moments?
Oh.
It sounds like it could happen.
Oh, every time you
yeah.
move and something breaks, I'm done. I'm done, RVing. I'm done. We
In the heat of the moment.
Yeah, we laugh about that.
Yeah.
This is going on.
Yeah.
And it's like 9 years later, we're still saying that.
Right.
And it's like, oh, come on. No, we're not.
So what, tell me, what helped you to keep going
Oh
then?
my gosh, because there's always so much more to see and do. It's addictive, first of all. It's quickly addictive. Once you get, you get all these highs of these amazing scenery and these joyous moments, they outweigh the challenges, and it becomes quickly addictive. And now you're like, I want more and more and more of this feeling. And so it keeps you going through the challenges, through the, tough times. And then for us, there's a threshold, I think, where after so many years of doing this, where it becomes like normal life, and not doing it is not normal. And I don't know what that threshold is. But like, for example, I was just staying with my parents having a visit at home, and I was there for 2 weeks, and we did the same thing last summer for 3. And after about a week in the house, I'm starting to lose my mind. Like I can't be normal.
I have to agree. And we were only full-time for 2 years, now part-time. And yeah, I am stir crazy in a house. Like I have to get out every day and at least be in nature, you know.
It changes
if I can't travel.
You're forever changed. So like it or not, you've got the bug now, and you're forever changed. Yes. It's
I
so
know it.
true.
I love it.
It's so good.
I wouldn't change
Yeah,
it.
it's so good. So that is the part that I think just really keeps you going even through the
It does.
tough times, So yeah, it's totally
so
worth
true.
it.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to people aspiring to work while traveling?
I would just say expect it to be different than obviously working from your house, and expect there to be challenges, and try to have a very flexible mindset. So what you think it will look like is probably going to be very different than what it is, but give yourself that grace to adapt your travel plans, adapt your environment, and just go with the flow, which is tough for some people. Like, I was a planner before we started this. I was like, every day plan. And then you get on the road and you're like, nothing actually works like that in reality. With business,
it quickly goes by the wayside.
Yeah, with your business, with your homeschool, with your traveling, everything is very fluid. And so you almost have to train yourself to have that flexible mindset right from the get-go, to not be disappointed. It might even be that way with your work environment. When you're trying to work while you're traveling, you don't have your dedicated office anymore where it's quiet. No. There's no quiet anymore. Rose knows this. You can hear everything through an RV wall. It's like paper thin. They can hear you and you can hear them. So
that's right.
Know this as soon as you're parked next to kids, because it sounds like a bowling alley is next door, and we sound the same way.
You're all in the same boat. It's all good.
It's the thumping of little feet amplified outside. It sounds like a herd of elephants when you're on the outside. But so there's the quietness and the routine that you have working in a regular building, you will not have while you're traveling. And so you got to get creative and be flexible. It may be your kitchen table's the best place to work today. It may be you get a pop-up screened-in tent and have it in your campsite and you're working outside because the weather's nice. But then you can't count on that, because the next day it's storming like crazy and blowing and you can't hear again. So it may be your bed today, is the quiet spot that you can find. I work in my bed all the time.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Yeah. So you have to be flexible also with your work location, and same thing with the internet. So if all else fails and you can't make it happen from your RV, you got to find a business that you can, a coffee shop, McDonald's, wherever. You got to get somewhere where you can make it happen so that you keep your business rolling. And so there's times where we've sat in McDonald's parking lot and hopped on a call and been in the truck before because we had a dead zone that we couldn't navigate there. So flexibility, right? Above all.
That's key. Above all. I love that.
And laugh about it later, right? Be like, do you remember when I took that big call and I was sitting and they didn't know it, but I'm sitting in the truck in McDonald's? Parked right next to the building, hoping that, is this going to be good enough?
Hilarious. I remember being in Great Basin National Park, and I was trying to upload a YouTube video.
Oh, gosh.
And there's no signal there. We had to get, I don't know, near the, the main office, and it kind of worked. And before this, we were like traveling up some kind of part of the mountain and just trying to get our truck a certain way before that. So,
oh gosh,
you have to be scratching up the whole side from the bushes.
Oh no,
fun times.
Oh gosh, you never know.
It's a great story now.
Yeah, more good stories.
No. More good stories. I'm all about the stories.
Yeah,
Love
you
it.
never know until you're in the throes of it. And you're like, how did I get here? Really?
Oh, Vanessa, this is so much fun.
Yes, it is.
Tell our listeners again where we can connect with you online.
Okay, so we are on all the social platforms as at The Adventure Detour. Not so much YouTube, because we're kind of short form kids, but Instagram's our biggest channel where we do the most. So that's the great place to find us. But also TikTok and Facebook, and our website, which is theadventuredetour.com. And it's loaded with helpful articles about full-time RV life. So, and one's really great about saving money, and another's really great about balancing your time on the road. So a lot of the things we talk about are full articles with tips and helpful things on there, as well as our free guide to nail those really tough to get campsite reservations. So
I love that. Definitely
helpful.
check all those out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So will you be attending the Hershey RV show in September? That's up in Pennsylvania, but you're in
No,
Florida,
we're
so
not going this year, but we
no.
will be
Okay.
at Tampa show in January. I love
Oh,
that. Yeah. Will you
excellent.
be that one
Yeah.
too?
No, I don't think we will be making it down
Yeah.
there, but
Enjoy the Hershey
I'll
show. I've never been to the Hershey show. Isn't
yes.
that wild?
Well, I don't know how much of the show I'll be at, but the RV entrepreneurs having their we're having our
Oh,
workshop
nice. Yeah.
at the Edgewood, and that's September
How
12th, and it's a
fun.
full day for all the RV entrepreneurs, and we're gonna have some great info, some fun, some
Oh,
food.
how
So
cool. I
anyone
wish I was
listening,
there. Dang
yeah,
it.
that's okay. There'll be more.
Yes. I was saying, I hope they do it for Tampa
There'll
because
be more.
I'd love to connect. That would be
Oh,
amazing to
that would be
meet some other
awesome.
folks too. It's always fun. The
Mhm.
RV community, I will say, for any entrepreneur is
Yeah.
incredible. Plug in as much as you can to other RVers that
Oh,
work on the
yes.
road because it's one of the most supportive, incredible, helpful communities I've ever seen. It's really great.
Yes. It is. It's amazing. And I'm so glad that I'm a part of this
Yes.
RV entrepreneur. This has been wonderful.
Yes.
And I've just grown so much as a person and connecting with people.
Oh, that's
My
wonderful.
people.
Yes, our people. That's right. And the listeners are
Your
our
people.
people, whether you're doing it or you're
Yes,
going to do it. Congratulations
that's
for
right.
taking the step towards your dreams. It's a huge step
Yep.
and congrats on that.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Yes.
All right. So is there anything else you want to share with us?
I don't think so. I think that I
Okay.
really enjoyed our talk, Rose. It's been
Oh,
amazing.
thank you, Vanessa, so much for taking the time
Yeah.
today. I really enjoyed speaking with you
Yes.
too. And I wish you well in the rest of your travels and working.
You
And
too.
awesome. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I had so much fun chatting with Vanessa. I felt like I was speaking with my future self. We have such a similar story, but she's been living this lifestyle now for 9 years. And the nuggets of wisdom and advice that she shared about balancing work and homeschooling, navigating RV life challenges, and staying flexible are so invaluable for anyone considering or already living the RV entrepreneurial lifestyle, especially as a family. If you're dreaming of working from an RV or just looking for ways to make your journey smoother, I'm sure you've picked up some valuable tips today. For even more inspiration and practical advice, be sure to check out Vanessa's blog, which I'll put in the show notes. And if you're in the RV industry looking to up your social media content, I'm sure Vanessa can help you too. Check out their Work With Us page on their website. So, what kind of entrepreneur are you? Do you have a unique nomadic business story? Drop by the RV Entrepreneur Facebook group or send us a message at therventrepreneur.com. Maybe we'll share what you're doing with nomadic entrepreneurs everywhere. And if you'll be at the Hershey RV show in Pennsylvania this September, I hope you'll join me and my co-hosts for the RV Entrepreneur Workshop on September 12th. Get your tickets before they sell out. As always, thanks for joining me, and until next time, keep exploring and embracing the freedom on the road.
Ever wished you could learn more about RVing from the experts? With RV Life Masterclass, you can. Gain access to a wealth of knowledge through online courses and a resource library filled with insightful guides. Whether you're a novice RVer or a seasoned traveler, there's always something new to learn. Start expanding your RV knowledge today by visiting rvlife.com.